Hello, so last time I asked for 100 likes and you guys delivered it. I want to say thank you for all the likes and support from my previous video, though I know 100 likes is a really small number and easily attainable. The reason, again, why I asked for just such a small number is because I didn't really had that much viewer engagement at that time, and numbers go brr. I mean, just a week ago I just had 30,000 subscribers. Now I have 40,000. Crazy world we live in. Okay, so all I ask this time is not a like goal or anything like that. It's you guys to watch this animatic if ever you haven't seen it yet. There's gonna be a link on the upper right corner. You can pause this video. We'll wait for you guys to catch on to whatever we're going to talk about in this animatic. So, some little bit of context, assuming that you've seen it already. This animatic was made for my storyboard class. We were given 4 weeks to work on this. The first week would be the scripting. The second week would be the first draft of the storyboard. Then the third week is to apply the rendition and the fixes that they suggested prior to that week. And then the fourth week is the animatic. We work on the animatic for just 1 week. It's weird, I know, but because I'm working on a action sequence, I'd like to favor more about how much time I would like to spend looking at this shot and stuff like that, because you can't really tell timing if you're just looking at an image, which is storyboard. And that's just my way of thinking. I don't know. It's not really generalized. It's more of a personal thing. So, assuming that you know the general idea of what composition is, we can proceed. If not, you can look it up in the internet. So, overall, there is a overarching theme throughout the whole animatic here, and I'm not sure if you've guessed it already, but it is kind of glaringly obvious if you're looking for it. But it's not the same as in Project Psychopath where it's subtle. I believe it's kind of subtle there. It's not like really consistent all the time. It's more of a switch because she's switching side all the time or things like that. But here, it's more of a hero will always be on the left and then sometimes going to be pushed around and stuff like that. So yeah, there is a consistent pattern that is recognizable, but it's not that consistent considering it is an action sequence. So I need to favor the fighting scenes and the rhythm of the fight just so that I can convey an emotion or feeling within that fight rather than an overarching story that isn't really big story. It's more of just this guy is doing this and he did it, something like that. So our first shot here is a shot of a person going to something, I don't know. We're looking over him in a frame. The frame that is this box. Now there's a line on the center. This separates the foreground and the character. Now also I could put some details here to give us more context onto what this is we're looking at, assuming that this is the first time you're looking at this picture. Though I know you've already seen it since I asked you to watch it, but let's just pretend that you have no clue what it is, because it does happen a lot in movie where the first shot would be like you have no clue what you're looking at unless the camera slowly zooms out or they give you a sound or a cue that makes you realize that, oh, this is what's happening. So here, instead of showing everything, I let you figure out and pick up the pieces as soon as possible by just hearing the buzz sound and then him saying, pizza's here. So clearly he arrives and he's a pizza delivery guy. Now this animatic was made with the assumption that it will be shown in a very big screen, so some focus of the audience is sustained in a general area on the screen so that it accommodates for the next cut. So we have 4 seconds for this first shot. We see the name on his jacket, and then in that general area there are more names after the cut. Now I know this is a little bit sus, but bear with me. I just did this without thinking that it can be a meme, that shape, whatever it is. So you can tell the Easter egg that I tried to put here, in which Peter, Spider-Man, pizza time, and then MJ, he's delivering a thing there. So we have this, which is the door again. So it's consistent. It gives us a general background or general idea that we're looking at the same thing, and then the door opens, we cut to that opening, and then him prying into the door. Now he walks from left again. This is the overall theme. that you could easily recognize. He's the hero. He'll always be in the left side, and he's going towards the right. The thing is that I could make this better by making this smaller. I know he seems like a giant, a really tall guy, but yeah. So this corner could be center so that it aligns with this being in the center, somewhat in the center. This being in the center, there's a vertical line in the center, and also here a vertical line in the center. So this is the first sequence. We get introduced to our protagonist. There's not that much. I could maybe add more writing into it, but writing is not my forte, as you can tell, because we were asked to do something we're comfortable with, and I told myself, well, I'm gonna do some action sequence. So he walks into the elevator. That's weird. I just jumped into that. And we get to the next sequence, or the next scene, I guess. Now, the transition is the elevator going up, not just literally. All elevators do go up and down and all that stuff, but also the transition between them, which sliding up the elevator. Now there's so many ways you could do just transition. Like here we already have like 4 cuts, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? But here is another transition. I think this is the only transition where we get a slide. Yeah. So now we get to see this establishing shot where we see a pan and a movement, and we see 3 characters. Now first, of course, if we slide down, if you just look at this, you look at the face, you'll see the movement twitching on the hand, and you'll be able to tell or recognize easily that he's lockpicking or something because it catches your eye. Movement usually grabs your attention. Now, I could make this better by putting him more on the center, so now we get to focus more on what he is really doing, because now he's like on the right side, shifted on the right side a little bit. And then this end shot, so there is like 3 elements here: the foreground characters, the background character in which he is a lookout, and then the background itself, which also gives information. So there's like 2 or 3 information gathered in this establishing shot, in which they're lockpicking, the 2-person in the foreground, the background character, which is the green guy, he is on the lookout, and then we know that they're arriving, the character that we just saw a while ago. There is a few issue here, which is the character on the left. We'll call him just Red for now. He is side view, side profile. What's better is that if I did him on a 3/4 view in which we see both of his eyes, we'd then be able to tell his expression, his face in general. A lot of animation in the industry does this. You go watch SpongeBob or any animation, all their faces are facing the camera or facing us, the audience. That's because they want us to see their faces, their whole expression, rather than side view. Imagine if SpongeBob is always on the side view. You always see a edge or just the side of a box. That's it. So yeah. So we cut to him, and I don't know if you could tell that, but it's not really that big of a deal. So assuming that your eyes are now on him, or just here in the middle in the general area, because there's not that much happening here. There's not that much movement on the foreground, right? We can only look at their face, and then after that, we've gathered recognition on their face. We now go look at him, and then after that, we cut to him. So he is distracted. Of course, in reality, he would be able to hear the elevator arriving, but he is doing a sloppy job as a lookout. So he is asking them what's taking so long or something. And now we got a new shot of the previous establishing shot. So this gives us a new piece of information of the spatial, I guess the space in between them or whatever that is. He's still in the side view, and I know I could have done something here, but I did insert in which part where he does show some of his face. So he's saying what's taking so long, and then he's answering him that they use a different padlock this time or something like that. Now we have a entrance from our hero in which he's not on the left side, he is in the center, because now he is a grand, the grand entrance. Now I need to explain some few things here because it is somewhat of a what do you call this? recurring theme for all, or not all, but most movie. And you don't notice this because you were not told to, or probably you do if you are taking notice, if you are into film and all that stuff. So usually, when a character is shown in this kind of angle where the camera is looking up to them, it usually gives that character a power, a sense of authority, a point or focus in which we can tell that, oh, there's about to do something, or it's gonna be grand or something like that. So this is somewhat of a grand entrance. Another thing that I want to mention, just to give a concrete proof of this kind of shots, is that they do it a lot. And I'll give you an example in which they do it a lot in a character, two characters specifically, that argues or fight. So in Kill la Kill, there's a cliff, or I don't know what it's called, but it's like a building of a school in which Satsuki would look down at Ryuko. Now Satsuki is, of course, a school president. She has the authority, she has the power, she has the wealth against Ryuko. Now Ryuko is the protagonist. There are some instances that I believe in the series or some later episodes where the roles have been flipped. So there is a way to play around this idea. Most of the time, it's always the stair. When two characters are arguing in a stair, there will be instances where we see the character on top and they win the argument of whatever they're talking about. So now that's out of the way, you will probably take notice of that, put it in your mind, or forget about it when you're watching any kind of series, animation, or whatever it is. So now he looks down in his phone, he's distracted, he looks up, and then we get to see the whole thing. Now this shot in particular is inspired from Old Boy. The reason why that is initially I wanted to do that kind of animation, but since it's a storyboard class, I need to also practice my composition and not just do a oneer. Oneer is that it's just one shot, there's no cuts and all that stuff. So yeah, though my teacher actually recognizes and says, hey, do you watch this film? And I said, yeah, that's actually what I wanted to do. And he said, yeah, but just do it for this shot so that we get a general idea of the distance between these characters and what they're about to do and what is actually happening. So this gives us a general idea. And of course, he's on the left side because he's our hero. Now we have the green guy here in the middle, so he's closer. And then the other guys, which concretes this shot. It gives us more context since this is somewhat a piece of a bigger picture. And this is our bigger picture here. So now we get a reaction shot. 1, 2. Now what I could have done is we can get a 3 reaction shot in which like a comic strip. First would be the covering here, in which it would be the blue guy's face. And then the second one would be the green guy's face in the middle, and the third one would be them on the right side. That would have been nice and also quick, because here it gives us more time to just, because they're isolated, right? It gives us more time, and also it confuses us because usually, I'm not sure if how long elevators closes, but if I play this, you'll see for how long it stays open. Open, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 seconds. That could have been just closed by now or something like that. But in my head, as how I see this, the time here pauses. But because there are cuts, it doesn't seem that way. But again, because the background is black, I guess it does. I'm not really sure. Well, we'll see how it feels. So now there is a few issues here. Just I need to address this. The character on the left, we'll call him just yellow for now, is yellow and red, right? We still have the side view profile because I thought it's funny. The face is just half all the time. It's like a cutout. But then again, the 3/4 where we see both of their eyes is way better. Because I did it here. Why am I not able to do it here, you know? So we cut here, and you'll probably notice by now they flipped places. So the one on the left side, which is the yellow guy, is now on the right side, and then the red guy on the right side is now on the left side. Now, it's not that confusing regarding that we have this already. So this is the only shot that we're comparing that to. So it's not that confusing. It's not out of place at all. But because if we only watch this cut prior to this, then it's going to be confusing, right? Since we already have some establishing shot, it's fine to break the 180 rule sometimes just to favor the comedy thing. Though it could be arguably wrong at some point. You know, I feel like this is wrong still. But it's not like a big deal that it breaks everything since we've already seen this. It's just, hey, here is this again. You've already seen it. So yeah, it's not that confusing. So here, I borrowed some few techniques from Satoshi Kon, which is they're using a black screen to convey a passage of time. But here it's not really a passage of season or really long time gaps. It's more of just a comedic act in which, oh, he's about to go back in the elevator. So yeah, I didn't want to animate all that. And that's it. So yeah, another thing is that you'll notice here, the composition is that the character in the center, he's still kind of on the left side. I'm not sure. Again, I'll put the lines. I think I didn't mention that a while ago, but I put some lines on the editing just to show my point here. So he's somewhat at the left side, and then most of the characters are covering or surrounding him, making us feel, if we are that character, cornered or surrounded, as we say. And then he's not really conveying that feeling. Like, we look at his face, it's like neutral, he's calm about the situation until the last second in which he's gonna be caught off guard. And yeah, so of course the red guy is like somewhat of a leader, saying, hey, get him, he might call the cops or something like that. So of course the green guy goes in first because he's closer. He pushes the guy, our protagonist, towards the left. Now, there is some hidden meaning out of here, but it's not that much of a big image. It's more of a, hey, it's quirky because he's our protagonist. He goes from left to right. It's much like how Mario in 2D games go from left to right, and then when there's an obstacle, you get pushed back from the start. So it's something like that, right? So now this angle, there's not much really special about this. I just choose to do this because I felt like it's one of those James Bond or Captain America fight scene in the elevator. But you get the point, right? It's claustrophobic, it's enclosed, and all that stuff. So they're isolated. So we got this shot from camera is up on the elevator looking down, and then we cut to this, which is somewhat similar. We have the number right on our face, so we can see it when it's changing. They also catch up, but it's too late. The door has already closed. And then they look at the number just to see if it's going down or up. So if I play this, if I'm looking at it right now, just this, it makes sense. But if I play this, you'll see there's some inconsistency on the timing. As you can see there. Like, they already ran through and only half a second or somewhat few seconds in which they recognize, oh, it's going down, you know. So yeah, here this is not really that much of a innovative shot, though I could have made this better, but I was just going off with what I have here, in which this camera is looking down, this camera is looking down, so might as well just put a camera that is looking down. So our character red, he's faster than our yellow since he's jumping and doing parkour. The other one is just taking one step at a time, or other step at a time. And then we cut back to the isolated action sequence in which it's one-on-one. We have our character protagonist on the left side of the screen, and then we zoom, or not really zoom, but more of a whip pan downward, and then he knee caps, I don't know what it's called, hits the bars, drops the crowbar, things like that. And he's still on the left side. He powers, charges his punch, or anticipation, you know, and then he punches him. We change our camera. Of course, we show that he's still charging his punch, and then he punched. There you go. Some camera shake there a little bit, and it's still on the left, relatively on the left in an angle. And then he picks up the phone. We see that the number is going down. I could have changed something here. I could have added a cut before this in which the red dude reached or arrived outside of the elevator. But I didn't, because I don't want to baby my audience. There are some instances where you want to give a lot of information, but there's also some instances where you can give enough information in which you let your audience figure out. And it's more fun that way, because you can let your audience be free with their imagination. Of course, when this happens, like it opens, or about to open, I guess, the audience would like, oh, what's gonna happen? Is this gonna be an outsider? Is it gonna be a new, character or something? Of course not. I mean, we could recognize because of the color that I colored them in, that's just the same character and all that stuff. Of course, he's still on the left side, and there's this fun thing that I did here, whip pan upwards, and then the green guy started moving because there's no longer door supporting his back. He's starting to fall, and then we cut to him falling. He's still on the left, the protagonist. So he tries to escape, he gets blocked, he gets caught on his cuffs, I don't know what it's called, jacket I guess, grabs, he gets pulled from the left side to the center, and then we cut here, again, similarly on how we cut to this movement. So he gets pulled out, then he gets punched, and then pushed towards his left side, because he's somewhat of an obstacle, pushing him back to where he began again. So our focus is now on the left side, other than just a few microsecond attention on the phone, dropping, and all that stuff. So we have this shot after that. So it's not much of taking attention like, oh, left, right, right? This time, it's a shot reverse shot. It's a common practice for every dialogue sequence or scenes, I guess. So there's a character on the left, and then there will be a character on the right. They talk, they right, left, things like that. But here, it's more of a, oh, I'm gonna fight you now. So it's a, it's it's a tradition for every fight scene. You'll see this a lot, and you probably have already ignored it. They do it a lot of the time. Now this one here, our protagonist pushes through, so we'll play this. Goes to the right, and then he flips and slides or hops towards the right side of the screen or towards us in an angle, and then cut when he was like here, right? Because if we're following our character from left to right, we cut here, our eyes would be on the right side now. Now we see, oh, there's a new character arriving. This is the yellow guy a while ago. So now our focus is on him, and he grabs his knife. Of course, I cut so to give the focus on that specific area, but initially what I have here, or what I had here in my storyboard, was that he just pulled a knife there. But it's not really clear since it's what do you call this, a long shot or a full body shot, and sometimes movement like this small doesn't really show what is happening unless I give an emphasis of it like this. And also I just wanted to flex my animation skill. So there you go, I showed this, and now we have that. So we have a lot of things going on here in just a small amount of time. Pull the knife, we have an expression on him. He's still on the left side, and then he flips the knife and tries to swing it at him. Of course, he dodges it. He goes down. We then slow-mo here, slow-mo. Now he's somewhat on the right side. This could be a point of reference, this edge of this wall, showing that he crossed a line or something like that. But it's not much more of it's not like a theme. It's not like that. It's much just like a recognizable thing that, oh, okay, that's happening. It's not really a big of a deal, is what I'm trying to say. So now he's on the right side. Now there is some few things here. This is much like a breather for every action sequence where there is like much action. There's always this happening and all that. So you want to put a breather in which you want to give your characters some time to react, some time to breathe, and also your audience. But now he's on the right side. What does that tell us? There's two things that it tells us. First, it probably tells us that he overcame the obstacles, which is the bad guys, right? Second, it could be that it's off-putting because we always see him on the left side. Now he's on the right. What's happening? So yeah, there is some tension still, even though we see him relaxing or putting his guard off. And then he looks on the left, and then he gets punched. Of course, it seems like it came out of nowhere because I didn't put recognition to it. That's because I want you guys to figure out what's going to happen. So of course, when this is happening, this shot, we see him on the left. So of course, we're going to expect him on the left. This is only obvious if you're rewatching it or if you're taking notes of it. But again, I don't think it's that much confusing given that we have enough time to recognize, like, we have 4 characters. And if you do read from here, going off on what was happening around here, of course, we're going to go right, and then we're going to read what's going on just for a few seconds, because there are colored, and it is easily recognizable that, oh, this character, this character, this character, this character. So after that, we have him getting punched. He gets pushed on the right. So we are now against a wall, literally. And of course, it is opposite. So it's like opposite from what has been happening a lot lately. So this is the point where I said that I want it to favor the action sequence. I could have probably find a way to make him get punched and still get to the left side, but I ended up just deciding to do this instead, since it seems like, oh, things are about to happen. Like, oh, we're gonna pick up some few paces here. He's gonna be like this and that. So literally here, after that, he is up against a corner. Well, opposite corner, I guess. He's in a corner. No pun intended. He gets surrounded. You know, the surrounded shot a while ago, and we get a close up to his face. Reaction here. It's just a few frame, and then the punch and the knife going in. So we get a shot of him in the center, so it's the same focus, area of focus again. And he gets punched, but of course he dodges it, like he has an ultra instinct or some shit, I don't know. The punch got on the edge of a corner, of course that would hurt like a shit, I don't know. And then we have the knives whooping, or whatever is the English term for that. Of course he also dodges that, and then the guy is in pain here on the right. And then he takes off his jacket. I'm not sure if all of this is conveyed easily, but let's play and see. I'll be the judge of it. So there are some few instances where I can't tell where I should be looking at. So let me just give myself time just ahead. So yeah, I think we are supposed to look at around here and then see the reaction there. But I think I could fix this better with fixing the timing. So letting him move after this guys have settled. Like here. After that, he could have moved and cradled his hand after that. So yeah. So now we have a full body shot. Now we can see the feet included. And we see all this action, choreography, and all that stuff. What did I say? Choreography and all that stuff. There you go. So the reason why you do this is because most fight scene, if you do some cuts and close up on the hands and face and camera shaking, it actually throws you off into believing that they're really good at fighting. But that was the old, well, not really the old way, but some degree where it is fine to do that, but there are some degree where it's too much. That only means like 2 or 3 things. One is that the characters actually don't know how to fight. But in here, you know, I'm animating. I'm not hiring an actor. So that just means that I don't know how to animate a well choreographed scene if I'm having a close-up of everything, right? So I did this just to, again, flex that I can do it. So yeah, I could have done something better in which there's like angle, perspective, and all that stuff. But to me, the, what do you call this? A side view approach of like a fighting game is always the best. So anyways, his hand get caught from the jacket wrap or grab or whatever that is. He's still on the left, by the way. And of course, I don't know if this is effective. There are some video making fun of this instances where it's not really that effective. That was not the point of this whole thing. It's just that, oh, I did it, or something like that. So he grabs his hand, he smiles or smirks, he looks down. I'm not sure if that is recognizable, that he's looking down at their feet, because we got this shot later. I'm not really sure if I should have started here, and then this, where he looks at him, and then looks down, and then after that, we get a cut of their feet, so that there is some eye line connection. So he swoops his feet, he loses his balance, and now there are some things here. So there are some few issues here. Initially, what I have here in mind is that this red guy is about to help his comrade, and he's about to reach out to the blue guy. But because he is holding him, he gets to control his position. Like so, he's about to move in, and then he get to press that. He switches him. He shifts his shoulder, so now he's blocking his way. Now, this is not easily conveyed. There could be more shots here in which they're looking at each other, eyesight, and then this happens. But I didn't, because I got lazy and I'm running out of time at that point. So yeah. I also had 3 studio classes. Studio classes means that they ask you for animation on a weekly basis, not just animation, but the progress for your whole film in that semester, because you're supposed to finish a film in that semester. Film like a minute and a half or something like that, short animated film. So now he gets him hold, he charges up his knees and all that stuff, and then we get a replay of the hit 3 times. That's how you sell a powerful hit, as Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann analysis animation by Peg Barian. I'm not really sure if it was Peg Barian, but you know the guy. I'll put a link on whatever I'm referencing to. So now we follow the movement of this guy. We cut to that also. Same thing. We see him still on the left side here, and then cut to him, his reaction to that gruesome takedown, and then he says, "Oh, I give up, you win." And then we see him, we look at him, says, "Yeah, sure." And then he threatens him, and he's like, "Oh, fuck, I gotta go now, bye," or something like that. He's still on the left side, he breathes, and then we're at the ending, finally. So there's just small things I did here. Character walks in frame from right to left. Again, like an opposing obstacle. Well, actually, the final obstacle, that is. He gives the pizza, and then the character, our protagonist, is somewhat on the center. She receives the pizza, she buys it, not buy, pay for it, and then she accepts it. Now here, the cut after this, assuming that your focus is separated between the two of them, the cut after this is like so. As you can see, I'll put it between them. So it's like a flip of composition. It's not really doing something new. It's just so that you don't have to shift focus. And that's it. He ends up on the right side. Kind of. I could have made him more on the right side, but that's it. So that's it. I'd like to thank you for your attention for about half an hour. Thank you for listening. I'm not sure if I'll be able to talk more about composition. I think I've given enough information about it, and there are a lot of videos out there that explains this a lot better. I'll put some link in the description if you're still interested about it, though I need to do something else, like other stuff, and find a new topic to talk about. If ever I end up making a new animatic, I might do something like this in stream rather than recording and editing it, because I feel like it takes a lot of time because I have so much error while recording, and I need to edit those things out too. So again, thank you for your support. 40,000 subscriber recently. Again, I don't know, I'm lost of words. Things go by really fast, numbers go brr, and all that stuff. So yeah, thank you. See you around in the comment section.